Oh, this is Vera Green.
Yeah.
She's come highly recommended by Cath Berry.
Yeah.
Give her a shout out. And we met last week for a chat, didn't we? And you said you worked at the Russell Club.
Yeah, I was on the bar there just Friday nights because I was working full time in an ad agency at the time. But my sister was there. She'd been there for ages because she was very friendly with Don Tony and very much part of the West Indian community, really.
Yeah.
And I had a bank loan I'd borrowed to go to the States with a friend, so I just worked there Friday nights to help pay off the bank loan. And in the time I was there, of course, the factory lot took it over on Fridays initially, which was not just Tony, but Alan Wise, Alan Erasmus, a chap called Nigel Begley, wherever he is, and there was quite a few. And to be honest, I think of, like I said before, if I'd have known how important it was going to be, I'd have paid more attention because there were some great people on there.
Yeah. But
I was too busy behind the bar, perhaps nicking a couple of gins, well, which everyone did.
Yeah.
And so, I probably didn't notice it, a lot of it. I remember when Joy Division played, well, I knew Ian from Macclesfield from when I lived there, so...
Oh, did you know him before?
Yeah. He used to knock about. In fact, there's a section in Debbie's book about the Macclesfield days in my friend's antique shop and some of the parties.
Yeah.
And somebody from Mac walked in and I'm like, oh, hiya, Kelvin, what are you doing in? Ian's got a gig here. Oh, I didn't know he was in a band, and...
Yeah.
So, but I didn't really notice much. I was too busy swearing at people from behind the bar, not serving people who were tight.
What was it like working there? Did you get to see a lot of bands?
Well, like I say, you didn't really. You did, but unless it was somebody like Iggy Pop played there a couple of times and you paid attention then. But a lot of the names were just names,
Yeah.
2 things: you were busy working. 3 things: you were half pissed, and the acoustics were shocking behind the bar.
Were they really bad, the sound?
Well, it was from behind the bar, It might have been better if you were right in the thick of it, but so probably didn't pay as much attention as I should have. But I think that's always the way, isn't it? If you're in the thick of something, and if you're in sort of the eye of a storm, you don't see it. It's what spins around it that.
Yeah.
So I ended up, I worked there for a couple of years, Friday nights, and then after we'd finished, we'd all pile down either the Reno or the Nile Club because they were
you used to go to Reno?
Yeah, well, I went to used to go to the Reno before then, even back in the 70s. When I was living in West Didsbury, all the hippies used to go there after.
Did they?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it was open after 3 in the afternoon and after...
Did the Reno open in the afternoon?
It was always bloody open. Yeah, we used to go. Sunday afternoons we used to go.
Yeah.
I might be wrong. I might have been an alcohol and drug haze dream, but I'm pretty sure we used to go Sunday afternoons. But because it was where you could go and carry on after hours. Because I was raised around West Didsbury and we didn't really bother going into town that much, because there was enough happening locally.
Yeah.
It was still very much hippie days in the sort of early 70s, but so we went to but then we used to go again, the Reno, I think from the Russell actually, we used to go to the Nile Mall, which was upstairs, because there were 2 together.
Yeah.
And, so manner of dodgy places around Moss Side in them days anyway, there was one place in Lloyd Street, which was basically a row of cellars that was knocked through that we'd all pile in. And,
wow, I didn't know that.
Yeah, one of the old school shebeens. The West Indian community in the 70s and early 80s played a great, huge part in our social lives.
Yeah.
Because they were the only places that were open where you could get a drink and behave badly, But like I say, and they had a little air of danger, but... No, I don't remember anyone coming into any harm in any of them, apart from your experience,
Yeah, yeah.
I think the worst time you might pick, the toilets were a little bit unhygienic, you might pick something up in there, if you were around too long. But
Yeah.
that was about it. And you know, I mean, and then running parallel to that in the late 70s, there was the gay scene as well, you know, places like Sims and...
Where was Sims?
Sims then became Bernard's Bar, Precinct 13, and then it was
Oh, right,
South
yeah.
for a while, you know, around the back of Kendall's.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a great place in the 70s, you know.
Was that like it was the gay scene independent, indie as well? Alternative as well? Or...
I don't know, we just used to go where my mates went, you know. We didn't really bother with labels, you know, in those days. It was where would let you in and, you know, you wouldn't come to any harm. But, I mean, of course, I mean, it was more sort of disco days, really, as well.
Yeah.
You know, it's just to have a fondness for a nice bit of disco. It was, but that was... So there were you know, this thing that there wasn't anything to do in the sort of late 70s and early 80s. There was bloody loads. You just had to look for it and step outside your comfort zone a little bit.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's always something going on, you know, and even places like the old West Indian Centre on Carmore Road behind where the Plaza Cafe was, you know, that was another favourite haunt of those days.
Yeah. I bet you got to know a lot of people working at the Russell Club, didn't you?
Yeah, I mean, there were quite a few that I already knew anyway, you know, but yeah, I think I did. I could say. I mean, it all, you know, you try and remember it all, and it all sort of merges into one, you know, because even before that, there were people I knew who were at the start of it, you know, from when I was at St John's College, people like Bruce Mitchell and Martin Annett and Tosh Ryan, who were running Music Force at the time, you know.
Yeah.
So you're knowing a lot, aren't I? But you go there and, you know, I was, for a brief period, social secretary at St John's, so you go to Music Force to book a band, you know.
Yeah.
So, it's like there's a sort of thread running through, you know, where things that started in the 70s impacted as far as the 80s and 90s, really.
Yeah.
And you'd see people like Tony Wilson, you'd see him in the Reno, you'd see him around some of the dodgy halls.
Did he used to go in the Reno, Tony Wilson?
I saw him in the Reno a couple of times, you know. This was pre-Russell Club days, really. It was when he was still sort of Mr. TV presenter, and that's all he was known as.
Yeah. Did you go in the Hacienda from the start?
I think I was at the opening do, and that was down to a family connection more, because my ex-husband's sister was with Alan Erasmus for a while, so...
Yeah.
You know, so it was Alan that gave me, Andrew and I, tickets, and we went down, but I can't remember much about it.
Yeah.
I think we were too busy arguing at the time. But, yeah, so went there and used to go and sit about the Gay Traitor a bit, you know, when Brendan and Glenn were in there, you know, but I was always one more I prefer quiet corners. I was never one for being in the thick of a crowd of people, you know. I always preferred to find a murky little corner where I could sit and smoke and just talk to people, you know, and the same with the Number One Club. I'd end up at the back staircase half the time, you know. The bar staff used to bring me drinks up there, you know.
When did that open?
Oh, I can't remember. I mean, I remember going... I can't remember it actually opening, but there was a spell in the mid-80s where we were there all the time midweek.
Yeah.
Because it was great. And I mean, he was very innovative, Jeff. He used to have... I mean, I saw Lily Savage there a couple of times before she was famous.
Yeah.
And he used to have theme nights where he'd have like... He'd fill the club with sand, or he'd fill it with washing powder.
He'd fill it with sand on the One Club?
Yeah. Oh, we had theme nights way before anyone else. He had a in fact, it might have been the same night Lily Savage was on, but it might be my head playing tricks. But he had a washing night one night where he decorated the whole club with packets of washing powder. They raffled a washing machine that my friend Nigel won, you know.
They raffled a washing machine there?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, the number one, midweek was brilliant. They used to have half-price drinks nights a couple of times a week, you know, and we just used to go in the week, and I don't know how I managed to work, actually. I was running my own business at the time. But
and you'd have to go and work the next day.
Yeah, we'd go in half-price drinks night, because it was nice at weekends, but again, it got busy. So we always used to go midweek half-price drinks. And I think weekend, quite often, you'd stick your head round, you'd see it was very, very busy. It was hairdressers' night or something.
Yeah.
So me and my friend Des would bugger off to Dickens, which was just over the road from here.
Yeah.
It was a rum old place as well, Dickens.
I don't know much about that.
No, it was a pretty rough gay club bar, where you'd knock on and they'd look at you, and then you'd go up these stairs. The music was great. They always played fantastic funk and soul.
Yeah.
And there was such a mixture of rum types in there, you know.
There
was nothing precious about Dickens, but it was great, and it was just a nice little bolt hole.
Yeah.
But yeah, so, you know, it was very lively. It was lively, the 80s, and I went to the Hacienda sometime, again, more midweek.
Yeah.
Before it hit its peak, we used to go to things like the Bangra nights and the karaoke nights.
You had karaoke nights in
Oh,
there?
yeah. I think Cath Berry was in it once, I think.
Well, sure.
Oh, yeah. I've got...
Like pop songs? And...
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, they had a karaoke machine, but this was... I think it was when it was still looking for its way, but it was highly entertaining, because at the time, my friend Jane had just opened a shop on Oldham Street, right opposite where Affleck's Arcade is now.
Yeah.
So we'd go and sit about in the cafe downstairs for a few hours after they'd shut. Then we'd go to the Midland Hotel that used to do pound glasses of champagne for 2 hours.
Yeah.
So all those lot would be it was before they did it up, we'd be sat in the Midland Hotel drinking the champagne till they wouldn't serve us anymore. And then we'd go to the Hacienda for whatever was on, and like I say, sometimes it'd be Bangra night, sometimes it'd be karaoke, sometimes it'd be a fashion parade. And it was still very much when it was finding its way, but it was probably at its most amusing in a way.
Yeah.
Because there was all these experimental things going on. And it was before it had hit the radar of sort of either the gangs or the police or, you know.
Yeah.
You got away with a lot more.
Yeah. I saw on someone's Facebook a while ago, and was there a karate club there at Hacienda one night?
There might have been. I mean, they had all sorts. I mean, and it was very entertaining.
Yeah.
So...
You know, give him a shout, you know Graham Massey, don't you?
Yeah.
Yeah. Did you say he worked in a cafe?
I'm sure he worked, yeah, they worked for Diane downstairs. It was called Owl, the shop.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure if he didn't work in that cafe in Levenshulme for a while as well. Nice bloke, though. Yeah. I mean, I wouldn't say we're bezies, but again, I've known him a long, long time. And more through Jane and Dave and, you know.
And Leroy, who said he'll come down today, he replied to me text almost straight away and said, I'll definitely come to that. Vera will be excellent.
Well, poor Leroy had to put up with me in Dry Bar. Cause,
is that how you know him?
Yeah, I mean, because, Dry was great. I mean, I went to the opening night and it was straight away a different vibe from anywhere else. I mean, at the time, there was only us at Cromford Court, really, living in town that'd be interested. And it was really like, you know, it was Leroy ran it like a local in the week, you know. In the weekend it was busy and all the shining lights were out, but during the week it was brilliant. It was like everyone's front room.
Yeah.
And everybody used to go down to Dry, because it was before we had the gay village in the northern quarter, you know, so... I mean, especially those first 2 years, you'd see absolutely everybody in there that you knew out of Manchester.
Yeah.
And, oh, God, I mean, I think I spent all my blooming income in there for the first 2 or 3 years.
Was you regular in there?
And that was even with Lee running happy hours and, you know, occasionally slipping with... Well, they had a marvellous vodka freezer in there at the time. He used to get all these proper Polish vodkas in, fruit ones. Fantastic, you know.
I worked in town. I worked at the NatWest, and I went in the first afternoon. But I think about this a lot. Like, I 87, I started going out in town, which is when I started working. But if you were into alternative or something different, then there was only really Corbières, wasn't there, and Peveril of the Peak, and then Dry opened.
Yeah.
And that seemed to like. I'd never been in a bar like it when I went in Dry.
Well, nobody had. I mean, it was very... And to be honest, it was bloody well designed for a bar as well, because they had this massive long bar and this really efficient glasses system.
Yeah.
So, you know, no matter how off their heads the bar staff were, they were still really quick and efficient. And, I mean, I think a lot of Dry, you know, Leroy deserves 100% credit for creating something fantastic.
Yeah.
Not just in terms of design, but actually how he ran it and how he looked after people.
Yeah.
I mean, my mum, God rest her soul, my mum was a sort of person, wouldn't even go in a coffee shop on her own a lot of the time. She was quite happy sitting in the back room of Dry Bar.
Did you go in the Dry Bar as well?
Oh, God. Well, it was during the day, it was like my annex, you know, and I used to have my 40th in there, I had work stews in there from when I had my own business. But yeah, my mum would be quite happy. So I'd go in and she'd be sitting in the back ready for Tomo's tapas.
Yeah.
You know, and a nice bottle of Rioja. She had no idea she was surrounded by some very rum people, you know, but she felt dead safe in there. Leroy'd always look out for her, you know, and the bar staff all knew who she was, so, you know, it was something unique, I think.
Yeah.
And I don't think Dry gets the credit and recognition it deserves, really. I mean, yes, in terms of design, people say it was a trendsetter, but also in how it was run, it was so democratic, everybody went there.
Yeah.
You know, and that doesn't happen in Manchester that much anymore, where you get places where everybody goes, young, old, black, white, gay, straight, hip, straight, suits, scruffy bastards, you know.
Yeah.
The odd furniture thief.
Why did the furniture get stolen from there sometimes?
Oh, God, I remember sitting there once and somebody just walked in and picked up a chair and walked out with it. Yeah, you know, but, especially for the first few years, you know, it was such a fantastic mixture of people of all walks of life. All of Manchester went.
It was as good as going to a club, really, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was more chill than a club.
Yeah.
It was lovely, you know, I knew I could walk in any time of day or night and I'd get looked after by the staff because they were great. They were lovely, the people that worked there.
Yeah.
And I felt safe, and there'd always be somebody I knew in there, because like I say, the only people that would be in sort of early doors weekdays was either people from the flats where I lived at Cromford Courts, or people who worked in Affleck's. And Leroy ran a handy happy hour as well, which was, again, but it was great because he really encouraged use of the space all the time rather than just the pre-Hacienda crowd. Yeah. Yeah, it got a bit wild at weekends, but yeah, it was lovely and chill in the week. You know, you really got a right mixture, and Leroy kept them all in line, you know. Didn't he? He did, he wouldn't take, you know, he was very kind, but we wouldn't take any shit. He didn't care who somebody was.
Do you know what? There's not many people who could do what he did.
No.
Yeah.
But he didn't care, as long as you were all right and reasonably behaved yourself. I mean, we all got a bit cheeky at times. Yeah. You know, you were welcome, but he'd keep people in line. He didn't care who they were. Yeah. You know, Sean Ryder, he didn't care. He misbehaved. He was out. He was barred. He was, you know.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember him telling me Martin Hammett was like really drunk once and he won't let him in. What was it like living in the city centre? Because weren't many people living in town, was there?
Cromford Court flats over the Arndale.
Was that? I bet that was. Because there's loads of cities, there's loads of properties now in the city centre, but
they were fantastic, those flats. I'd still be there if we hadn't got moved out. 2003. Yeah, I mean there were 60 flats spread out on top of the Arndale. Nobody knew they were there till that '96 bomb went off. And they were great, they were affordable, we had gardens, I had a massive balcony, 2-bedroom flat, 260 quid a month. You know, they were beautiful and they were really lovely. They were spacious. And we're now a commemorative mug. You know, even Cromford Court's got its commemorative mugs. You know?
Do you know what, like, when you just said then that not many people knew, I remember like a mate's brother, and he said that he lived above the Arndale, and I didn't believe him. For a split second I thought, nah, he can't live above the Arndale, but I didn't realise that, or I completely forgot that there was property above.
Yeah, there was 60 flats, and they were really nice flats, and it was a great space, because like I say, you felt safe up there. Nobody knew they were there. You were quite convenient for everything, and there weren't many people living in town at all. Like I say, there was us, there was some St John's Gardens, there were those council houses on Tibb Street, and that was about it, apart from the odd caretaker living above.
Yeah.
You know, but and it was very sad really that we got back in after much work after the 96 bomb.
Yeah.
But then 7 years later we did get moved out because they wanted to turn us into air conditioning units or something. They did pay us off eventually. But there was all sorts of people up there. Mike Pickering lived up there for a while.
Mike Pickering live there?
Mike lived there. Dimitri, that's got Dimitri's restaurant. He lived up there. I think Ross lived up there for a while. Do you know Ross? He used to run Sankey's and Most Excellent and all those nights.
So it's like a calmer version of India House? Or
Yeah.
was it Party Central there?
No, it was pretty, it was fair, because there were a few older people there. They were probably bloody younger than I am now, but you know, at the time, but it was pretty quiet. Obviously there were times when loads of people had ended up back at mine, but, you know, generally it was a bit calmer, it was safer, you know, people respected it. There were gardens up there and it was really nice.
Yeah.
I'll dig out some photos and send them to you.
Yeah, that'd be good, that.
But, you know, it happens now. I saw somebody a few weeks ago and, hey, we used to have some great nights at your flat over the Arndale, and I'm thinking, who the fuck are you? Do I know you? And, you know,
yeah.
Because what happened would be, you know, you'd sort of either end up with loads of people at ours before we went out or after we went out, you know, but there was I suppose there were some carryings on, but it was a lot lower key than India House. It was a different setup. It looked a bit like, you know, if you went up there in the lift, and it looked a bit like Brookside Estate or something. It was more like maisonettes than corridors and the new build. You know, every flat had its own entrance, and the 2 beds, which I was lucky enough to have, had a nice big balcony with massive, probably bigger than this stage area.
Yeah.
You know, so...
Oh, it is a stage, this, isn't it? With my star performer. Did you ever bother with the rave stuff?
Well, I like the people, but I'm not that... I used to go to the odd do where everyone else was going, you know, the odd thing in Blackburn or Heaton Park.
Did you go to Blackburn Raves?
I think I went to one once, but... Generally, it was more just the people that I liked rather than, you know, the sort of scene, because like I said, I've never been one for liking being in the thick of a big crowd. I was always happier having a smoke in a murky corner, you know. Yeah. So that's what I say, I was more on the sidelines than the thick of it, really. But, you know, it's the sort of thing you got swept up with, really.
Yeah.
You know, because in the late 80s, which was when everyone was going out to these mystery parties, you know, you'd be driving round forever, following a trail of cars because you thought they were taking you, you know. Yeah. And there was a friend of mine who lived up at the flats at the time called Boo. I don't know whatever happened to her. She was mad for it and used to love going to them, so I'd go with her sometimes, and half the time you'd end up driving round, ending up in a motorway services or something.
And you didn't get to it, you couldn't find it,
You get there and see a police cordon suddenly. But it was all part of the fun, really, you know.
Yeah.
It was just, you know, you'd go along with anything, really, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
If
There's so much going on in Manchester, wasn't there?
Well, there always has been, though. I think the difference is it exploded and became well known in the late 80s.
Yeah.
But there's always been, you know, if you didn't even have to look that hard, there was always a carry-on somewhere, you know, going way back to the sort of early mid-70s. There was, well, you know, I mean, I went away for a year or so and I came back and, of course, Manchester turned punk. I was away for 76, back in 77, and like the people, it was nearly all the punks that went in the Russell Club at the time, you know. They used to drink disgusting things like Pernod and black currant.
I used to like that.
And go this disgusting hanging sort of.
Yeah.
You'd see like shit.
I got ill on it one night though, and I can't touch it again.
What the fuck are these children drinking, you know?
Punk.
No, well, you know, sort of went along with it a bit again, you know, because it was what was happening at the time. I mean, for me, it was always more about the people and going out and enjoying myself rather than a particularly tribal thing.
Yeah.
You know, go to places. I mean, the ranch bar, you used to get the punks in there. That was always good. But I'd go anywhere. Somebody said, let's go here. I'd go, yeah, why not, you know.
Yeah.
Nothing better to do. I mean, but yeah, there were always things happening. Like I say, you just had to look for it a bit more, you know. There was also early 70s, there were, you know, I talk about the gay scene and the West Indian scene. Then you'd find things like the Picador Club on Shude Hill, which I don't know if you've ever heard of the Picador. It was run by Frank Lamar, Foo Lamar.
Yeah.
And I remember it vaguely. But it was like 3 floors of utter mayhem.
Was it?
It was somewhere on Shude Hill, and you'd go in and there'd be like drag acts on the ground, on the first floor, and because it was Frank Lamar's club. And then you go to the top floor and it'd be like a shebeen. It'd be like a West Indian.
Wow, I didn't know any of
And
this.
you could just go between floors, you know, looking at some of the most remarkable sights. And those places have sort of got lost a bit.
Yeah.
Because most people, you know, you'd only go in if you were completely wrecked, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was an entertaining rum old hill, the Picador Club.
Was he a builder, Foo Lamar?
No,
Was he
was a drag act. Frank Lamar, I don't know, might have been. I mean, he was...
Someone told me he was pretty hard.
Oh, I'm sure he could handle himself, yeah. I mean, I met him a few times in the Yang Sing. He always seemed a nice bloke, but he was... I think if you were outwardly gay in the 70s, you had to be able to handle yourself a bit as well. And he ran clubs because the Picador, and I think it was Frank Lamar ran it. I know he was quite involved with it. And then, of course, later on, he had Foo-Foo's Palace and the ranch bar downstairs, you know, so... But, you know, it used to be full of these characters, Manchester, though. You wouldn't, you know, people who'd stick the neck... I mean, people like Don Tony when he opened the Russell Club, you know, and then let these lunatics take it over for a Friday night.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, it was... I mean, it was larger-than-life characters. I mean, maybe, I suppose it's because I don't live in Manchester anymore, but you don't see them anymore. It all seems to be a lot more corporate.
Yeah. Do you still go out? I saw you picture your birthday the other day, and I was thinking, I wonder if Vera still goes to gigs and stuff then.
Occasionally, but I tend to just stay around Mac a lot of the time because it's expensive. Unless there's something I specifically want to see, it's tricky to get back out late at night.
Yeah.
And to be honest, for a small town, there's loads going on. You know, my mates have got a nice bar there that has lots of live music on, and mad things, like they had a big mad drag night a couple of weeks ago. And so, you know, and I mean, I might go, if there was something on at, say, the Band on the Wall, which is another place that hasn't, you know, was going way before anywhere else, I might come in specially for it, you know, but not that often because there's things like last trains to worry about or 50 quid taxi fares and trying to find one and, you know, so, and to be honest, there isn't that much on that, you know, like I say, I've never been one for the massive stadium gig. I've always preferred smoky little cellars and plays, smoky dives.
Yeah.
Then it seems to be that they don't really exist that much here.
I think I've lost, I say this every video, I need to get a timer, like I think we're getting here half an hour, and I always like to end them with, give us a track that you love or a favourite track.
I would say Someday the Gap Band.
All right.
It's got Stevie Wonder playing harmonica on it, and that was when my one rather shit attempt at being a DJ. I had my office in the Corn Exchange at the time. Yeah. And there's a guy downstairs from Halifax who had great records. Yeah. And I was just used to go in and buy loads off him and bung them on. It was when, and I said to Carl, I was going through, he said, "Here, have this, Vera, it's great." And it's a really good tune. And it's, but there's too many to mention, really. It depends.
It's just from your playlist.
Depends on the mood I'm in, you know.
I've got a playlist of guests, so like it's shaping up pretty good now. So thank you so much, Vera.